How much time do you spend thinking about everything that's wrong with you and what you can't and what you don't and what you didn't and what you should have, compared to, or do you ever even purposely sit and think about what your gifts are and what your strengths are? See, we kind of think, well, it just might not be good to just sit around and think how good I am. Well, I'm not talking about how good you are in yourself. I'm talking about thinking about what God has done for you and what He's invested in you and what He's given to you. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of things that I'm not, but I gave up thinking about all those a long time ago, and I actually really do purposely think sometimes what I'm good at. I'm a good communicator. I am very loyal. I am very committed. I'm very dedicated. And I am really a hard worker. Now, I know that I'm also impatient. I can expect a little more out of people sometimes than what they know how to give me. And I could go on, but frankly, I don't want to. Because I'm not going to give the devil the time to think anymore or talk anymore about what's wrong with me. You know why? Because God knew everything that was wrong with me when He chose me. And the same thing goes for you. You remember on Thursday night, I talked about thinking about what God has done in you more than you think about what's going on around you. Let's not be so all caught up in our circumstances and what we don't have and what's not working right and what people are not doing. And let's latch on to something, I don't care how tiny it is, that is a good thing in our life, something that God is doing in us. And let's celebrate that thing. And the more you celebrate the good things, the smaller the bad things are going to become. Come on now. And I'm going to tell you something, the more you focus on what's wrong with you, the bigger it's going to get. I said the more you focus on what's wrong with you, the bigger it's going to get, and the less likely you are to ever get rid of it. We're going to say that to this side of the room. The more you focus on what's wrong with you, the less likely you are to ever get rid of it, and the bigger it's going to get in your life. And if you think you're a mess now, you just keep focusing on what a mess you are and just see how much worse you are this time next year than you are right now. But if you'll grab a hold of something, I'm good at this. I'm strong in this. Whatever it is. Matter of fact, I want to challenge you to write it down on a piece of paper. Well, that's a new thought, isn't it? Make a list of my strengths. Make a list of what I'm good at. The devil not only doesn't want you to think about it, but he certainly doesn't want you to write it down anywhere. My gosh, that's like another element of getting a revelation. Matter of fact, if you get a chance, you could even maybe have the right kind of friend and you could just let me tell you what I'm good at. I just stood here and did it. Come on. I mean, it's got to be somebody that understands you and knows what you're doing, but it's good to vocalize it. It's good to put it out there. Can I tell you something? Please listen to me. There is more that is right with you than there is wrong with you. There's a lot more right with you than wrong with you. The problem is you don't focus on what's right with you. And some of you may have even totally lost sight of it. I'm not I'm not a great cook. I used to cook years ago. Believe it or not, I used to cook and make big meals for my family every day. But I'm not very good at that now. I haven't done it in a long time. Don't want to. Don't care to. Don't need to. And not going to. I tried several years ago, lots of years ago, tried to make some clothes for my family, made my husband a pair of shorts, and I was trying to be a normal, regular woman. Well, how boring is that, just to be regular? I don't want to be regular. I want to be out there in another stratosphere, somewhere else, different than what everybody else is. And I'm not saying that, you're not valuable if you make your family's clothes and I think that's wonderful. I applaud you. And sometimes I've wished that I could do that, but I don't wish that anymore. First of all, I'm not going to spend my life wanting something I'm never going to have. You got to stick in your anointing. You got to stick with your gifting. And you got to start giving yourself to the things that you're strong at instead of spending all your time trying to be strong in areas that you're never going to be strong in. You know what? I'm just going to tell you, if you want counseling, I would not be the best person to come to. Now, I'm pretty good at it from up here, but, I wouldn't be very good. You know why? Because I can tell you in 2 seconds what the problem is, and we're not going to make excuses. We're not going to play games. This is the problem. This is what you need to do. Go home, do it. If you don't want to do it, it's probably not going to be any good to come back. Because I don't want to tell you now. So I just don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do weddings. Don't ask me to do your wedding. I don't do weddings. I've done about 3 weddings, and the first one I did, and this is the honest to God's truth, the first one I did, I preached so long that the best man passed out, fell through the wall that kind of separated the platform from the worship thing. It was like a little half wall. His head went through the wall, because if you put a microphone in front of me and stand me up, I don't know how to do a little of anything. He passed out. I didn't know you're supposed to just get people married quick. I thought it was an opportunity to tell them how to live their life, how to get along with each other, how to, I would have to study harder to do a wedding than I do to preach. It's not something I'd be very good at. But there are things I'm good at. And when you're good at something, you enjoy it. So why don't you stop trying to live up to everybody else's expectations of what they think you ought to do, and end up giving yourself doing a bunch of things that you don't like, while you're missing out on all the things that you do like.